Wisconsin became part of the Union on May 29, 1848. America's Dairyland, home of the Green Bay Packers, the original site of the Playboy Mansion, Culver's, and enough beer, brats, and cheese to fill all the major food groups. Birthplace of Willem Dafoe, Heather Graham, Liberace, Bob Uecker, Tony Shalhoub, Red Foreman, Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer. Some of the strangest alien abduction cases have occurred here. It's said that Slender Man himself resides in the darkest part of the North Woods. It's had its own version of the Salem witch trials. For these reasons and many others, America's Dairyland is also America's Scaryland.
And welcome to the inaugural episode of America's Scaryland.
Fuck, you started that with all sorts of loudness.
Well, you know, gotta get excited.
Yay,
It's the first one.
Yeah, episode uno firsto.
Yep, the Mineral Point Vampire.
Vampire? Mm-hmm. Vampiroso? I don't speak Spanish even, kinda.
That gentleman that you hear there is Jake.
Hi, that's me. This guy over here, loud man, is Nick.
That's right. And together we are America's Scaryland. Hoping to bring you the next couple months of some fun and interesting and scary places around this spooky-ass state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
And that fly flew right near the mic.
Fucking-
He just made his debut.
Nick Jacob, fucking bugs.
He didn't want to be left out.
No, he's about to be dead out. Yeah, good comeback, B.
All right.
Fucking bugs.
Jake, you want to get us rolling with this interesting technique you had come up with for me?
Yeah, welcome to What Would Booze Do? Every few days, every once in a while, Booze is going to be posting, will be posting the posts on the Facebook. He basically asks a fun, unique question, scenario, sets it up, gets opinions of all of you guys out there. And but we never get to hear Nick's side of the story because, he asked the question and then doesn't answer. So
I mean, that's laziness.
And
That's what it is.
Yeah. So we're going to...
I can post it. I just can't take it.
That's fair. So now you're going to take it and take it hard you shall.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to one here we got. It says, let's start a dialogue. In your opinion, what is the creepiest paranormal folklore out there and why? And then you list hauntings, lake monsters, Bigfoot and or related kin, alien UFOs, ghosts, unknown beasts, or anything else. Let's hear what you think.
So I guess I kind of have a tier system. Aliens and like cryptozoology is definitely like a fascination. It creeps me out simultaneously, but I definitely find those topics fascinating. Hauntings, that scares me. Those legit scare me. With this episode, as we'll get into here shortly, it wasn't terribly spooky, so it was more on the investigation side of things, which was unique. Yeah, so that's I guess how I would kind of frame them.
Is it because aliens are like crypto things? Like, are they more tangible to you? So like, you're not afraid of them because they're a physical thing, whereas ghosts could be anywhere, anytime.
The thing is I've never seen anything or had any sort of paranormal experience, so the concept's more tangible, I suppose.
Okay.
Where believing in ghosts it's a harder stretch for me. Like,
bigger leap.
It's the thing is I've got to see something to believe it.
That's fair.
And I can tell you right now, if I were to see a tangible Bigfoot or alien, yeah, I'd probably shit myself. I would also shit myself if I saw a ghost. So
fair enough.
However, the ghosts, they're just inherently creepy to me. It's just more of a creepy topic.
That's fair.
I guess that's my not so straightforward answer when it comes to it.
Yeah,
Dialogue started.
So I guess is there anything else you wanna hit before we get started here? Or are you ready to
No, we'll take care of house cleaning at the end.
Okay. So for this first episode, we started with something kind of cool in theory, a little bit interesting, and that is the case of the vampire that is supposed to lurk in the small town of Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. By the way, congrats! That's the first time I've actually heard you say Wisconsin correctly.
How do I normally say
You
it?
normally say it like you think everyone else says it, like Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
You say it with a fake Wisconsin accent.
Because we're in the great
Or you
state.
say it with a straight up Iowa accent.
Got some of them Wisconsins in us.
Yeah. You actually just said it pretty fucking good.
Well, never again.
Now I'm in your head.
One and only time. It is forever Wisconsin from now on. But yeah, so this town, Mineral Point, it's not terribly far from us.
No, it's an hour. I think it was about an hour and a half drive. We left pretty early, right before sunrise, and the whole point for me, I wanted to, small towns. I grew up in a small town, and I've always enjoyed diners in small towns. And we had the conversation about if we're gonna find anything out about this, we're gonna start at the diner. We didn't start at the diner, but we'll come back around to that part of it because I guess the diner leads into the whole story as well. So
Right. So let's
start at the diner and we'll go and once.
Well, do we want to do history first of the actual, or do we just want to talk about it as we go?
Yeah, let's give a rundown of quick synopsis of how it panned out, and then we'll get in details.
Okay, so it all started in 1981. There was some strange reports from local people of somebody kind of
Lurking. You already used that.
I was trying
phrase.
not to go back to that.
I'll help you out. I'll find another one. I'll find another word for you to
There
use.
was a weirdo weirding about in the cemetery there, Graceland Cemetery. They call the police. Police show up, and they see the dude. That's the thing. They're like, hey, look, weird guy. They give chase to this guy because apparently they tried to get his attention.
Give chase!
And they fucking...
Mount the steed and give chase to the vampires!
Oh, I can't wait till we get into ghosts and I'm going to bust your balls. Anyway, they're like, there's a dude. He looks vampiric. Kill. And they chase him. And I guess the guy was like pretty fast, pretty agile, and leaps over a big old fence, which is a big evidence point. But yeah,
we'll get back to that fence. It's a big.
The thing that really kind of made it stand out, the reason that I think it is so remembered, is there was a lot of police involvement, but they go back to the scene and they see footprints of this chase.
It was in the winter,
yes,
so that's
there's
a key point to it. It was in the winter.
A dusting.
Yeah, what we here in the state would consider a
So
dusting.
about 4 feet of snow out there, a little dusting. But they see the evidence of the chase. They see footprints. They see going up to the fence, and then where you'd think he would land on the other side, there's nothing. There's not a thing. So that was the first instance of this happening. There was then another report in 2004, very similar. A guy kind of jumping out of trees, sort of not attacking people. Like, nobody got hurt, but he was kind of, freaking people out.
I bet you it was a drop bear.
It's probably...
It wasn't even a vampire. It was probably a fucking drop bear made its own way.
Migrated on the land bridge from Australia. That's
Sure
how that
did.
works.
Sure did.
Sarah Palin would understand.
Someone bought a drop bear as an exotic pet and got sick of it.
Oh, it's like the
released it. Yeah,
it's like
gators
the gators
and
in the
snakes.
sewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Someone caught a wild drop bear and released it.
You're a cute teddy bear. Oh God, you're gonna eat my family. So, same sort of situation. Police show up, give chase. Dude jumps over a wall. Footprints go to the wall. Footprints on the other side, non-existent, which should be there, not there. And then there was a third case in 2008 of a couple fishing by a nearby lake.
The second one, if I remember correctly, the second one wasn't at the graveyard. The second one was by the apartment building.
Right. It was at an apartment building in town there. And then the third one in 2008 was by Loudon Lake?
Ludden Lake. Yeah, Ludden Lake. Named
Ludden
after,
Lake, right.
God, I can't think of that dude's
Arthur?
name.
Arthur Ludden?
I'll look it up.
Art Smart? Cutting that out. But yeah, so there's a couple by the lake. They're fishing. They hear a noise under the lake, or under the what would you call it? Not dock, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's a boat landing where they were, and it was like it was a dock. I mean,
okay.
it
was a really shitty dock.
Yeah, it wasn't an extensive or expensive dock, but I mean, it was...
You could see through the wood slats, though.
Yeah.
And they see somebody under there, and they go, holy shit, a person. And they run away, and the dude chases after him. And the guy in the couple turns around and chucks his flashlight at him, and the police show up. They don't find the flashlight, but they find their camping gear, their fishing gear, and it's a whole thing. So that's the very brief
That's the rundown.
history of this case. In Mineral Point, it's been sort of a local legend since '81 when it happened. So we figured it'd be cool to check out because if there's a vampire,
I want to see him sparkle.
I mean, I was kind of hoping for like an attractive Slayer chick. I saw Buffy, right?
Yeah.
Or her redheaded friend would be cool, but we'll get. I guess we'll just figure it out. Let's probe into this and see what we touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we show up.
Yeah. So we show up. So the first thing we did was go to the graveyard. We will circle back around. Well, fuck it. We'll just talk about it.
There's a small circle. We're back.
Yeah, that was a real. It was like a period.
It was a roundabout.
Yep. So we went to the graveyard, and I want to say it's called Graceland Cemetery.
It is in fact called that.
Graceland Cemetery.
Yep.
And it's
not where Elvis lives.
It's a looks like your typical graveyard. It's right next to the Iowa County horse race track, or the Iowa County Fairgrounds.
Right.
Are right there, which was kind of a surprise to see.
Yeah, it's right there. They butt right up against each other.
So what's interesting is the fact that there are like 4 different distinct types of fencing.
Yeah,
they're okay. So the fencing between the Iowa County State Fair and the graveyard is like, it's like an old shitty barbed wire fence.
It's gothic looking. In fact, it's rusty.
No, it's not even gothic. I mean, it's like a farmer's barbed wire fence.
Yeah, but it's old and it's rusty.
Well, yeah.
And it's run down.
Have you ever seen brand new barbed wire?
Not rusty new.
I've never seen brand new barbed wire. Period.
That's
I don't
right.
think.
I think they stopped making it.
It comes weathered.
It's like candy corn.
Rusty.
They made one chunk of it, and then everyone shares it all.
Shaving it off. So there's that fence, which it's barbed wire and some other kind of weird ass fencing.
Yep.
The graveyard dips down probably a 30-degree. I don't know. Maybe I'm not using that.
Like a slope.
Yeah, slope. I don't know if that's the exact.
30 degrees
angle.
seems. I mean, it's probably.
I don't know.
I'm not a scientist.
Put it this way: if you put a ball at the top of it, it would roll down.
Yes.
It's a hill.
It looks like it would be good for sledding.
Yeah, it actually looks like legit sledding. That backside doesn't actually have a fence.
No,
it just butts. There's open area for
future dead
people. Which, I mean, why not invest in a grave? I mean, here's the thing. I really got to rethink things through, because if I was a better businessman, I would invest in land to create a graveyard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're guaranteed customers.
Oh yeah, it's they say that in that movie with Kevin Costner where he's a serial killer.
Waterworld?
Sure, we'll go with that one. But he owns a cemetery, and he says invest in things people always need: water and cemeteries, because everyone dies.
And I mean, let's face it, he invested in a lot of water.
Yeah,
in that movie.
I feel like there's crossover.
Good idea.
Let's not.
So there's no fence on that backside, and none of the story or the tale says anything about going down at all.
It just it goes right into like a wooded area with a little bit of creek. I gotta stop saying stuff butts up against stuff.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's just farmland. There's like there's not even a creek. There's some wooded area, a small chunk of wooded area, and then like farm field. Then to the other side, and I'm purposely not using directions because I don't fucking know directions.
The south northern side.
Whatever. The other side opposite of the Iowa County State Fairgrounds.
That one.
That is residential. And that fence, I can't fully remember. I don't fully remember what that fence
It was
looked
just like a white board fence. Like you would think, like you could, it's a typical farm fence. Because the next property over looked like a small
hobby farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looked like, pole with pole going through it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Not well done, but not.
Nah, it just looked like
a little ramshackle.
Just some dude built it.
Yeah.
And then the front fence. Now this is the one that has some stuff to it. So when we got there, you go in and the drive up is like pillars, like brick pillars.
Mm-hmm, like typical cemetery.
Right.
Pillars.
And on either side of it, just shit ass chain link fence.
Like really crappily done.
Just
chain link fence with a guaranteed 8 to 12 inches of gap between the ground.
Oh yeah.
And the chain link bottom. There was a huge
Did not
gap.
measure. Did not measure.
And
they went 8 feet tall fence. They ain't gonna be able to climb over it.
Yeah.
What about the foot underneath? Didn't think about it.
Yeah, no, it was just we're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
will not keep zombies out.
Nowhere did we see the reported wall or like fence that was like 6 feet high.
No, not at all.
So
So already we're landing in land of Story's not really matching evidence.
Yeah, it was.
But we did find out that fence was replaced.
Yeah, we did. Yep. So that was some information we got. We went to the Red Rooster Cafe. Great little diner in Mineral Point. If you're there,
Really good
stop
hash
in.
browns.
Actually, legitimate cheap food.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Good portions, and we sat down at the corner, and so Jake put me on point for this. Jake's not as good as I am as interjecting myself into conversations.
I don't like
with
talking
strangers.
I don't like talking to them humans.
Yeah, just if it's a mic and a computer, you're fine.
It doesn't talk back.
That's true. So we sat there for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and I listened to some, I mean, it was all local old people, so it was just kind of...
Nick started creeping, started listening.
Not even, I was a fly on the wall. And
creepy fly on the wall.
this old couple started talking about a thermos, like thermos brand, I think it was Contigo or whatever, and I don't know if Jake just saw my eyes light up as soon as I said this, but I said, oh yeah, it reminds me of the old, thermos brand. My grandpa used to have one of those, and he used to put soup in it and stuff, and that was my in. That was...
I won't lie, as most of my social involvement involves, I sat down, face went immediately down to my food, wasn't listening at all to anyone talking, and I just hear Nick go, hey, my grandpa had a thermos once, and I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? Who's he talking to? And we were off to the races.
We were off to the races. We engaged. So, interesting note, some of the old folks, I don't know, locals, I got to stop being so ageist.
They were old.
They were diner locals, regulars.
They were dinosaurs.
Wow. And the sad part is, I know you're editing this and you're not going to cut any of this out.
Some of it, just for time. That was a good one.
That was unexpected from you. I haven't known you to be that funny.
Oh,
that was good.
My own joke broke me.
I know. Yes, so they were dinosaurs, as Jake so eloquently put it.
I'm fucking dying. I'm sorry. Ow, I'm legitimately crying.
You got yourself with a dad joke. That's the worst thing about all of this. Is you legit got yourself with a dad joke.
Hey, my dad joke levels are gold.
I guess so. You all better
Level 10 dad joke right there.
guess right there.
Go ahead.
Trying to regroup here.
Just ignore me.
Fuck, I might need a cigarette break.
Why is that so funny? What are we talking about?
I remember where I'm at, so you just get it out of your system.
You go, I'm fine now.
So I'm trying not to laugh, so I know it's going to set you off again. There we go.
Just go.
The dinosaurs.
Don't say it. Don't fucking say it.
I can't not now that you brought it up and put it in my head.
You can never say it again.
I've known you for 6 years and I've never seen you this broken.
It's such a dumb joke. Well, this was the podcast.
The fuck are we doing here?
Well, that was America's Scaryland. There wasn't a vampire. Okay, bye.
Have a good day.
Episode 2, substantially less funny. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, because I'm going to say dinosaurs again. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Say it.
you
I
gotta
won't
be ready.
I'm not listening.
Some of the dinosaurs that we talked to actually knew the
second guy.
the partner of the two police officers who gave chase.
Yeah, so the first officer was Officer, what was his name? John Pepper. That's not as funny.
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
God damn it. We're never gonna get through this.
We're not. It's gonna be 40
4
minutes
hour,
of fucking
4 hour
laugh track.
podcast. Yeah, so Pepper's the one that chased the guy, and then he called in Steve Hermanson.
Hermanson, yeah, because I think they called him Hermie or
they
something.
said Hermie did some stuff.
Who unfortunately has recently passed, from what we found out, because their reaction to us bringing up the vampire legend was, oh yeah, didn't Hermie have a story about that? Which makes me believe that he was also local at this diner, and I mean, he's a local town cop, so I'm sure he stopped in quite often. And but it seemed like these folks that we started engaging with knew who he was, and we started talking more with this one couple. I didn't catch the wife's name, but I know that the husband's name was Steve. But his wife engaged with us quite a bit about all of this. We told her what we were doing in town, kind of investigating and probing around for this vampire thing, and she had mentioned some other lore and stuff like that. Talked a little lengthy about the Walker House that exists in Mineral Point. That's another future episode we'll get into.
I mean, one of the things about Mineral Point is it's an old town.
It's if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it pulled up, but I don't know if you have any notes. I think it's, if not the first, one of the first cities in Madison.
It's one of the first, is what I've gathered. It's right up there.
It's a very old mining town.
As soon as Wisconsin became like a territory,
1848.
I don't even think it was a state yet. It was just a territory.
Okay.
Mineral Point came in because it's an old mining town.
Yeah.
So it came from mining resources.
And that's that's where Wisconsin gets its nickname, the Badger State, from all the miners going into the holes and stuff like that. So anyway, so we were talking with this couple, and just trying to see like if they had heard much about the lore and everything like that. A couple people had some kind of not super substantial stories, but there was, I don't know, I can't remember dude's name, but there was a story about fishing shacks and being scared. The wife was like, oh, you ought to meet my daughter. She's really into this stuff. And sure as shit, I mean, she didn't tell us, but 15 minutes later, her daughter and her daughter's husband, Teresa was her daughter's name, met us there. They were already coming on their way for breakfast. So then we started talking to Teresa a little bit, and she suggested that we head over to the Mineral Point Library and check out the archives.
Yeah, they keep a pretty large.
As old of a town or city as it is, it's got a pretty pristine historical archive.
Yeah, and it's very extensive, and it goes back. I guess it was a local guy was like sort of a amateur historian.
Yeah.
Kept all these records, and then when he was going to die, or right after he died.
Alan Ludden.
Alan
Ludden, that's who it is.
Not Arthur. What were you thinking?
I don't know, and I can't remember. Alan Ludden is known for...
Betty White's husband.
Alan Ludden also hosted...
a game show.
Dun, 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 dun. He hosted what now? Now it's not even coming up.
Good job, Internet. Way to fail.
Oh, man. I Googled inappropriately.
Spell his name right.
That might help. All right. Alan Ludden was Betty White's husband from Mineral Point, and he also hosted Career. Come on.
This is good podcast.
Oh, my God. We're absolutely terrible at this. I want to say it was Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy.
It's probably Jeopardy.
He's got a little bit of a list here. Password. Let's see.
I think Password was his big claim to fame.
Hosting both the daytime and primetime versions of Password on CBS and ABC. Also married to Betty White.
Betty White.
Yeah, that was a side.
You got upset at my laughing.
I don't care. You're the one that's got to edit all this.
Fair enough. You don't have to make it so difficult.
There's so many of those in there.
Fuck this episode.
So, all right. So we then decided to wait and head over to the archives.
Yes, extensive archives.
And
amateur historian, guy died, gave it to the library. That's where I was going with that.
Yep. And the curator was super cool. She said, well, I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I don't really believe in all that mumbo jumbo.
I'm pretty sure her exact phrasing was, well, I don't really believe in that shit.
Yeah.
She was pretty straightforward.
She was.
But she had no problem,
Well,
talking to us about it, and
she didn't really talk to us about it. The most impressive thing was, as she was saying, I don't really believe in any of that stuff. She goes to the filing cabinet, pulls out the file.
Ghosts/hauntings.
Ghosts/hauntings, which it's one of the longer manila folders, and there's at least 30, 40 fucking clippings
at least
in this fucking folder, and it's just the juxtaposition of her saying she doesn't really believe in this and then pulling out this ream of
I don't believe in it.
newspaper.
Here's everything on it. Here you go. All the evidence.
None of
it's real.
All the other bitches in this place believe in it, but not me. No, sir.
You won't fool me.
So we cycled through quite a few of those. I threw them up on the Facebook, so go ahead and check those out later this week. And the other cool thing that we got to do that made me feel legit as shit on our first episode.
We were police detectives on this one.
Oh, man. There needed to be... I'm so mad that, we weren't able to actually have a full-on, 80s police drama montage.
Yes.
Because we were looking through microfilm.
It
was slightly 20th century. Well, 21st, actually. It was slightly 21st century because it was all digitized, but it was still...
But it was still the film.
It was still microfilm.
Under a thing.
It was... Oh, man, I think...
I pushed the buttons and it went... Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
I mean, yeah, I the whole time I really wasn't even paying that much attention because I was just humming in my own brain space, just some generic 80s tune that you slap over montages.
In any good buddy cop movie, there's the reckless renegade cop who's just action, and then there's the nerdy guy who reads the stuff. I got to be the nerdy guy, and Nick was the Mel Gibson with his hair.
I was essentially just talking to the...
she was flirting with the old lady.
I wasn't flirting with her. She was really nice, and there were a couple times when she wouldn't shut up. To be completely honest, I was kind of like, this broad needs to just chill out. We're doing investigation stuff here.
All the librarian listeners are pissed now.
At least I didn't call them mongoloids. So that was cool. So we, our thought process was they had the microfilm. So the newspaper, I don't remember what exactly it was called that comes out in Mineral Point, but it came out, was it monthly or bi-weekly?
It was weekly.
It was a weekly newspaper, so it was not
most newspapers.
Well, some would argue that some newspapers come out daily.
I always just think of the Sunday paper. You get it every Sunday.
Is that all they have in Iowa? Is it just the Sunday paper?
No, there's a Wednesday one too.
Okay.
It's a little smaller.
Either way, it was a weekly newspaper, which both made it easier and a little, because we had the third one, we'll come to that here in a little bit about believability. Mm-hmm. The third encounter, I should say. No, that's just the mouse. That's a giant ass mouse on your computer screen.
Gonna touch it.
You're tickling him. Jake is trying to tickle this fly on his laptop screen with his mouse, but he is not actually participating in this podcast at the moment.
Go for it. I was listening. You were talking. I wasn't gonna interrupt.
I'm just doing social commentary on what's going on.
Real life laugh tracks. Right
The third encounter, there's some speculation on that, but the first one was actually very well documented as far as a lot of the newspaper clippings, the tangible newspaper clippings that we had. Most of them reported on the first one. Actually, if not, I think all of them reported on the first one.
That's pretty much all they had was stuff from the 81.
And there was some stuff about the Walker House and the Ridgeway Phantom and stuff, but I think there was about 6 or 7 articles and clippings of the vampire incident.
Yeah, pictures of the cops, pictures of people that they were interviewing at the cemetery. It was very interesting to see. But it was also kind of interesting because of those papers, there were some facts on the internet that were incorrect, because reading the actual papers from the times that it happened, you would see that they said something happened either in a different encounter, but then you read it and it's like, oh no, this stuff was happening back in 81. So it was very interesting to see sort of that misinformation or
Well, it's the internet. You can't believe everything you read on the internet.
Fake news.
Except for Wikipedia. That's
Wikipedia.
That is the most resourceful, trustworthy place that you can find information.
Why would people lie?
I don't understand why teachers don't just teach with Wikipedia.
Copy paste.
Yeah. That's the easiest way to be a teacher out there. You just go to Wikipedia, screw the bibliography, copy paste.
Just copy paste the reference page. There you go.
I mean, it even works for math teachers. You just copy paste the Pythagorean theorem. Done.
Golden thing.
Those kids are, they can figure it out for themselves.
Math's easy.
Do you remember the time frame on the second encounter?
I want to say it was in
Because
April?
this is one of the we were this one had a specific date, which we were able to look. So we got that year's microfilm, and we are.
It was March or April.
Okay, so the second one took place in March or April. Bear with us, we're terrible note takers, and I hope we'll get better. I don't recall finding anything on any of the microfilm about any of the cases.
We basically went through almost the first half of the year, almost paper by paper.
Yep.
And then after April, or maybe even May, we started just kind of jumping till we got all the way through 2004.
Yep, because the third one, there was very little detail about the time frame and the time of year.
It doesn't
for
even give
that
you a
one.
month. It just says 08.
No, and the only thing I pulled from that is that they were fishing.
Yeah.
And if they were on the dock, I don't think they were ice fishing. So we went and scoured everywhere from February through, I think, November of 2008, checking to see if there was any. We couldn't come up with anything for that.
There was no reports, no little police blotchers.
No.
Words. The thing where it says what the police did and stuff.
Blotters?
There you go. Good job. Got my back again. Good job, bud. There wasn't really anything there. So the evidence is thin.
Yeah. So we went to the location of the second encounter as well.
Or at least what we believed it to be.
Yeah.
It was, again, sketchy on the deets.
I can see... Oh, here's my thing. Those trees were... I'm not the most smart man in the world. I can't look at a tree and be like, that's an elm tree. Like, I don't fucking know what type of trees they were. I know they were tall trees.
They weren't Christmas trees.
And they weren't the ones that you hang Christmas lights on or ornament. They were tall trees. So if there was someone jumping out of those trees to scare people, A, it's a long drop.
Yep.
B, not even thinking about the drop, but getting back up there. And the repeated action of, being a drop bear and then scurrying back up.
You got to be committed to the prank.
If it was a legit, it would take a legit athletic ability to do. Now, that's, you mentioned prank, and that's the one thing that we kind of surmised is that the second encounter has a bit of a chance of probably being copycat.
Well, and that's the thing is you read the papers from 81, and not only do they talk about Officer Pepper and his partner showing up and the footprints and all of that stuff and the cemetery thing, but it goes on to talk about how in the weeks after there was a lot of police calls coming in of people jumping out from like alley areas or jumping out of trees and sort of playing off the myth of or the legend that was building already of this vampire. And sort of, it's teenagers, right? Like, I just assumed it's probably younger people just kind of, being idiots out there messing with people. And the 04 encounter has a lot of similarities to the stories from the papers in 81 talking about these pranks that were happening. Mm-hmm. So I would, at most, the 04 one to me is copycat.
I mean, that's what I would have to assume.
Because here's the thing, we're gonna cut this a little differently than normal. We're gonna throw things out a little bit here because normally I don't want to go into this shit's fake because I'm a believer in pretty much all the paranormal things that you can believe in. I not only want things like ghosts and vampires and crypto things and aliens to be real, but I believe they are. And it entertains me and it excites me to go into this. But this one, when you read it, sounds super cool. Sounds legit. There's police involvement. There's several witnesses.
There's paper trail.
There's a paper trail until you dive deeper. And you see that initial trail is pretty thin.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty small.
So,
All right, quick side note, backing up. On a scale of 0, okay, not even 0. 0 is a dumb number to throw into a scale of pain and or believability.
what's your pain? I'm at a 0. Why are you here?
Why are you here? Like, the doctor doesn't even have a face for 0. Like, it's a faceless. It's the 0 is a faceless face.
This place just looked nice.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Okay.
where do you fall for believability in paranormal things? Going back to what you were kind of just touching on there.
Right. I would say I'm at a solid 7, 8, somewhere in there.
Okay, so on the doctor's pain scale, you're kind of like the one that looks like it just ate a lemon.
Yeah, kind of.
Not like full on pain.
Like,
but
let's throw out the orange one. I'm at the orange one.
Okay, so threat level orange.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a solid 2. I've not yet had any sort of. My paranormal encounter cherry has not been popped yet, so I have nothing to really, other than being fascinated and simultaneously creeped out by everything.
See, and that to me is funny because I'm a believer, and I'm the first guy that's gonna be like, "There's a ghost. Let's run headfirst into this. Let's see what's up." You don't believe, and yet, just from what you've told me, complete coward when it comes to this stuff.
Well, I mean, that's,
Accurate statement.
well, yeah, I don't, well, it's going to be interesting getting into some of these things in the future because.
Yeah, you've talked to me just as leading up to doing this, how some of the research that you've already started doing on things.
Just the research creeps me out.
Just gets you a little goosebumpy. And it's funny because, as you say, you're in comparison.
Right.
You don't believe in this stuff nearly as much as I do. I am excited to touch the ethereal plane. I'm going to hug Sasquatch as soon as we meet him. If I can get abducted by an alien, that'd be cool. You, on the other hand, are like, about some of this stuff, and yet you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
It's a fun juxtaposition.
I'm a big conundrum. I'll say that right now. Onward with the Mineral Point Vampire.
Yeah, what I was getting at, though, is this idea that, to me on this one, being a believer, jumping into it, going into the evidence, to me, I'm already on the side of this isn't what they say it is.
Yeah. I mean, even the original encounter could have easily been
Misinterpreted, over-exaggerated, any of those things.
Yep. So we did take a stroll down to Loudon Lake, however you want to pronounce it, and scoped out the area where the third claim supposedly happened.
Yep.
Again, with as little bit of information that there was for that one, I feel like encounters 1 and 3 are more tangible or more believable than encounter 2.
That's fair. To me, the third one, which happened in 2008 and was the couple that got chased,
Yeah.
the thing that sort of the fly in my ointment, as it were, for this particular situation is they talk about running away from whatever came out from under the dock at them. And when we were there, and you're there at the dock, you turn around and look, it's maybe 100 yards at most to the highway.
But it is straight uphill. It's a pretty steep hill.
But to me, it's like, how did they get there? Who, like...
That's true. I mean, did the vampire just give up after 100 yards? And you're like, you got my beat.
And in between there and the road, if you hang a left, there's someone's driveway.
Yeah.
So to me, it's one of those things of like, when you read it, it sounds like it's like out in the middle of nowhere, maybe a wooded area, somewhere where you could be chased and have to escape.
Well, and
but when you're there, it's like...
This is one, too, that, we can start throwing some theories out there, too, and kind of speculate. The nice part about there not being much detail is that we can kind of speculate some things. One thing that just popped into my head is it was 2008, so cell phones existed. Cell phones were pretty readily used by... It wasn't like 1995 when, 5 people in the world had a cell phone.
I had a cell phone in 08.
Yeah, I did, too.
So I was in Iowa.
So what I'm saying is that because the time frame for them to escape and contact the cops was pretty quick, apparently.
Yeah, I would assume.
So I'm thinking that, very well the girl could have called or the guy could have been calling as he ran. But yeah, there is a house, like a camper shed at the top of that hill, and there was no reports of running up and getting in there, talking to anyone from there.
Yeah, they said they ran he threw the flashlight. They got in their car. The guy that was chasing them got to their car as they sped off.
You know, it's the other thing is, yeah. I mean,
unless we were at the wrong part of the lake.
But we went around that lake. We went around both sides, and that was the only spot. That's the only public spot was right there. We, you know, it could very well be that they maybe had friends who owned a house on the lake, or, you know, someone who was like, because didn't they say something about taking place near a dam? I don't remember the exact story correctly.
I don't think so. I don't remember any.
I made that part up, I guess. So yeah, so it was the third one, like I said. 1, most believable. 3, slightly believable. 2, really not that believable in my eyes as far as like actual encounter. It was, everything sounds more like a copycat.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask you kind of where I was leading with this was sort of, let's not worry about the other, the 04 and 08, because those to me hold less water than the 81. The 81, there's documented proof, there's a police report, there's witnesses of something happening. The other two, to me, either copycats or the 08 one, I'm on the fence if that actually even happened.
Okay.
Just because there is actually no, other than the internet reports, and those are just on websites.
Right.
There's no nothing
paper
in the
trail.
paper. There's no police report.
Yep.
So the 81 case to me is the one that like stands out.
Okay.
So just on that, do you see there being the possibility that there is actually a vampire in Mineral Point? What else could it be?
Well,
and the reason I ask is that because Wisconsin has kind of a fun, like, not so much back then, but as of, you know, kind of throughout the years, has a sort of a weird history with like vampire things. There was a senator in the 90s that tried to pass a law to outlaw vampirism because of a real life case where a guy was getting girls to either cut themselves or he was forcibly cutting them and drinking their blood. And to push on a harder sentence, he put in a law to outlaw vampirism, which to me, logical reason behind it, weird way to phrase it. But so why in Mineral Point, Wisconsin, would there be a vampire? You don't really think, when you think vampires, you don't go Wisconsin.
Well, there was no victims in any of the cases.
Right.
Let alone the 81 case.
And from what you look into, there's no actual, like, it'd be different if there was maybe like a history of like, in any part of Wisconsin, let alone Mineral Point, of people with drained blood or animal bites that are unexplained.
More of a serial occurrence.
But it's literally like nothing. And then in 81, they're like, we saw a guy wearing black. He was a vampire. Like,
legitimately, in my eyes, so I did high jump in high school, and they can set those bars pretty high.
Right.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that it was just some random goth kid dressed in a cloak being like, I'm a vampire. I'm going to see what happens. Either checking out a grave, dicking around in the graveyard, a drunk kid fulfilling a bet. It could have been any one of these combinations. The motherfucker took off running and actually just cleared a 6-foot fence.
So I was going to ask, like, in your physical prime, do you think you could have, maybe not in a single, like, Superman boing jump over a fence, but you could probably, like, hurdle a fence, yeah? Or, like, hoist yourself
before
up over
I fucked my knee up, yeah, I could definitely, I mean, I've cleared, like, I'd say 4 foot. I mean, you and me are what, 5'6"?
5'7".
Yeah, roughly. I mean, if I get a running start and use my hands, I could have, not anymore, I could have quite possibly cleared you. So, I mean, and here's the thing. Who's to say that fence was even 6 feet tall?
Right.
Like, that could very well be exaggerated as well, too.
Right.
It could have been a 4-foot fence, and those pillars are 6 feet.
Right.
The entrance pillars are 6 feet. So I mean, there's a lot of different speculation, but in my eyes, I think it was just some kookiness going on, and because again too, like, yeah, the clues and the evidence of, okay, someone saw a pale-faced, a pale-skinned person wandering around in a graveyard with a cowl.
Cowl.
A cowl.
Fuck's a showl?
I don't know.
A shawl cowl?
Shawl. That's what I meant to say.
I'm going off the rails. Quick, bud.
Pale-faced person.
All in black.
All in black.
He said he was kind of skinny, lanky.
Yeah.
Lanky.
So, I mean, even a skinny-ass person could, if they were athletic enough, they could jump a decent distance vertically and clear it. The whole no footprints being there, that's really still not all that suspicious either, because it was in the winter and
could have snowed.
Could have snowed between.
Because that's the thing too, is this happened. The police show up, chased the guy. The cop left, came back with another cop, looked again, left again, and came back with a third cop. So there was a big, and the third cop, they came back in the morning. So there was a big gap of time where it could have blown over a little bit, could have snowed a little bit more.
They could have, where they saw footprints, they could have literally seen 2 indents in the snow and been like, footprints.
Yeah.
I mean.
So let me ask you this. Let me kind of, as an overview, let's just do this for the end part of this first episode, because the whole idea behind this podcast, right, is that you look at Wisconsin, it's sort of it's known as America's Dairyland. It's right in the heartland, Midwest America. You don't jump to ghosty paranormal stuff when you think Wisconsin. At least I never did.
No, I didn't until we started investigating for this podcast.
And yet, when you do dive into it, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, you even just proven real life. You got Dahmer, you got Ed Gein.
I mean, okay, as far as the paranormal goes, those are murders, but
right. But I'm just saying, like, those are
scary stuff.
Those are some weird things that, some scary things that happen. But then, yeah, you do get into it, and it seems like every town, haunted house, Sasquatch sighting, alien thing.
Well, and yeah, Wisconsin's got 3 cities gunning for UFO capital of the world.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting once we started digging into things around here. I mean, growing up here, Jake grew up in Iowa. Growing up here, the town I grew up in had one haunted bar.
Right.
Like, I was kind of the bar's claim to fame. Like,
right.
And I think this is true for the entire U.S. I mean, every little town's got something, I imagine. But growing up here, it's never, ever been in the forefront of my mind the way it has been these last couple of weeks of investigating.
Yeah.
Or like looking and digging into things. I mean, the fact that we found several books written on this topic alone,
right,
it's baffling.
We're not even pioneering this topic. But so let me ask you this then: what do you think, just in your opinion, just whatever? Why Wisconsin? What do you think might be here that is causing some of this stuff to happen? Why do people see a dark dressed guy in a cemetery, and instead of going weirdo, they go vampire? Why are there so many alien sightings? Why is this something that it seems to be almost ingrained in a small part of the culture in this state?
Again, I don't think it's just our state.
It's so prevalent here. Because I can say, in Iowa, I'm sure there was a lot of stories. There's a town in Iowa where to this day, you can go take ghost hunting tours of this house of the, I can't remember the name of the town, but there was an axe murder there.
Okay.
There's a big famous case, never solved. But, that was the biggest thing to me, growing up in Iowa. But in Wisconsin, it seems like it's like everybody's got a thing. And it's such, why
you mean
here?
Wisconsin, everyone's got a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just comes from the history of the state. I think it's formed just the way everywhere else is formed. I love the state, and as much as I want to say, I think it stands out with, paranormal stuff, if you and I were to start digging into Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, I guarantee we'd find just as many creepy things. We have maybe, some bigger named things, Dahmer, that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff like that. But that's kind of my speculation, but my truthful answer, my genuine answer is it's the beer. It's the fact that we're known as being drunk in this state quite a bit.
That's fair.
And I think it's pretty easy to fool a drunk person into thinking that if you put a white sheet over your head, you're either part of the KKK or you can say, hey, it's a ghost. And they'll be like, in both accounts. They would be scared.
It's kind of funny, too, now that you mentioned the KKK, because Mineral Point does have some possible ties to like the Underground Railroad and stuff too, right?
In another season, I think we've discussed this, and we'll discuss it a little further off air, but I think Mineral Point warrants a second visit for not just the vampire, but some other kind of interesting things that we learned in the in our 80s montage, our police crime drama montage. We learned there's a lot more to Mineral Point that actually meets the eye, and there's a lot more to it than just make-believe vampire.
Yeah. So I guess for this one, we're kind of landing on vampire, not real. At least in this situation.
That's where I'm landing.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. I think there's a lot to be discussed, and there's a lot more evidence that would have needed to happen for me to land on. Yeah, it was a bloodsucker. No, I think it was probably just some dude, some kid maybe. I agree, or he's drunk, as you said. We got the Wisconsin beers going on over here.
Yep.
So you got anything else to wrap this up that you want to talk about to wrap up real quick? Or?
As we progress through the next several months of episodes, should we give them a rundown of how we're formatting this so they know for...
Yeah, I mean, we can do a little heads up here.
Quick little rundown on how we're planning on formatting this as of right now. You're gonna get 13 episodes. We're gonna do kind of a season-based podcast.
Yep.
We'll do roughly 13 episodes. Take a small hiatus, small being 1 or 2 weeks, and jump right back on the horse and have the next season out for you. Most of that is the fact that one thing we want to stick by with this, I mean, there might be some instances where we don't, but one thing we really want to stick by with this podcast is we want to go to these places that we've looked into and read about. We want to go to these places. We want to...
we're not going to just, I guess, spout off
I wouldn't say spout off. Yeah, I mean...
what you can read on the internet.
Yeah, we could tell you... If we could in one podcast, we could list everything we've investigated, and you guys could go and look it up on the internet yourselves.
Yep.
We want to give firsthand accounts of these places, feelings.
This is almost more a journey with us,
right?
I would say, as we both try to. I mean, I've had a few small experiences that I'm sure we'll go over as time goes, and you've had nothing. So the idea is we're both sort of in search of that first tangible experience.
Cherry popping,
as it were. Yeah. So I think that'll be a fun journey to go on.
And bear with us. It's a work in progress, and we're going to always try to bring you the best product that we can. You can follow us, like we said earlier. We've got Facebook, America's Scaryland. We got Twitter. Almost positive it's America's Scaryland on Twitter as well.
I think it's at a Scaryland on Twitter.
It could be. We've got a Snapchat. It's America Scaryland. One fun thing about the Snapchat is you can join us on our investigations. I am trying to create a story every time we go out and investigate, so you can see what's going on live. We have let's see.
We got Instagram.
Yep,
all the stuff the
Instagram.
cool kids have. Tinder, Grindr, Christian Mingle.
Yep. Plenty of fish. We're on there. It's America's Scaryland. Oh, Gmail. We got a Gmail.
That's a normal one.
Yeah, that's normal. That's what adults have also is an email account.
Yeah, we're old.
It's America's Scaryland. Now the S on America's and Scaryland, both those words share custody of the S.
Fucking English.
The last thing I want to do is give a shout out to Tiffany and Troy Gibbs. Big fans from the get-go, from the inception of this whole idea. Troy is coming to me with a lot of ideas and places that would be fun to investigate.
Yep.
So we'll flesh some of those out. More importantly, I would like to say thank you because you have, from my understanding of our conversation that Tiffany and I had, permanently borrowed us this plastic table so we can actually set our microphone and our computer and everything up on.
It's holding us together. That's the only thing.
It's the glue that's holding this show together. So thank you guys so much for that. It's greatly appreciated. I'm pretty sure I'll probably give you $5 at some
Without
point.
it, I'd have to put the computer on my lap.
And it's a laptop, so that's just uncalled for.
It would get warm.
As of right now, I don't have any cool sign off or taglines. So I've been Nick.
Yeah, I'm Jake.
Thanks for listening, and tune in next week.
Yeah, okay, bye, Nick.
Bye, Jake.